Yeah.
How connected are Ryder and Burke to Tanner and Shay?
They're very connected. I would say Ryder is the most connected. Ryder's personality is he's a very open person. And so, you know, like the other day he was talking, he's playing lacrosse right now, and he was struggling with an issue that was going on with lacrosse. And he just went into his room and he goes, I just need to go be with Tanner for a while. So he's very connected in the sense of, I liken it, although I don't really necessarily think about this, but when we were growing up, my brother and we had imaginary friends, and so I liken it maybe to something like that, but he actually can sometimes see them or hear things, and he can, really feel them with him. So, but they call them their brothers and their angels. So he really feels like both the kids call them their angels. So, yeah.
I just want to ask 2 questions, one of which relates to what I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
Number one, just out of curiosity, can you tell me the ages of your sons? And number 2, does your book bring up a lot of Christian things? I'm thinking of it for the book that I'm working on, and I'm not trying to be rude.
Yeah, no. That's a great question.
How old are your boys?
Our boys are 11 and 12 now.
Oh, that's nice.
And I don't know that it has, like I said, we really, our big, what I really wanted was it not to be, I wanted it to reach people without it being, whatever faith they were coming to, they could relate to it. So that's an interesting question. I don't know. What would you say?
I think that my own experience has very definitely a Christian theme in that, and I'm not a man of any particular religion, but I do believe deeply in the human spirit and in the power that we as individuals have within us. And I learned things from this experience that I would never have known otherwise. I came away from the time of the accident I was just a raw and gaping wound. And I had never been opened like that, obviously, by anything else that had happened in my life. And if there is any kind of a blessing in a situation such as this one, it is that wound has never closed. And I am a different man because of that. I am a man of far greater faith than I was. I have found in me a kindness and a compassion for others, and an ability and a willingness to reach out and touch others that I had never known before. And so that, I think, that is the essence of the experience for me, is that there's this common thread that ties us all together. And that I just have come much closer to that than I had before.
You didn't really answer your question. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. I was just...
Well, no, it was interesting because she was asking, because she was talking about this thing she's doing for a Jewish group that has a book club.
Jason, Jewish Community Center Book Fair East.
Okay, so, and what was interesting, what I was telling her, which he can share as well, it was really amazing because when he had, at the time of his accident, he had, there was a pastor of a church, actually, that my parents had gone to when they come in town, and he had been a really good friend. But then it was really great because much of our community has a lot of the Jewish faith, and so it's a wonderful thing because the guy who's leading the Jewish Do you want to tell about that? It was just really beautiful how the whole community they just all came together, but you can tell just that part.
Yeah, the pastor that was going to lead the service was upstairs in the house with a couple of my friends organizing, kind of setting how they were going to put it together. And a friend of mine, a fellow lawyer, member of the Jewish faith, came to me and said, Joshua, who's actually a real estate broker in our community, but he's also a leader in there, in the temple, came and said, he said, Joshua would like to participate in this service that you're about to have. This loss has deeply touched the Jewish community, and we want to be part of the healing process. We'd like to be part of the beginning of that. And I thought about that a moment. I thought, wow, that's beautiful. Please ask Josh to join us. And so a moment later, he came upstairs and joined the preacher, and they just began to plan this whole service together. And I've been touched by that ever since. It was a wonderful gift to me and to the town. It helped pull everyone together even more strongly.
And I think your experience with Ram Dass and his help makes it a universal faith experience.
Many of you probably heard of Baba Ram Dass. He was a guru of sorts in the 60s and 70s, still is, for that matter. But many of us who grew up during that time read some of his works. The most famous was called Be Here Now. He really believed deeply in being present at all times. But he happened to be coming to Aspen. He came to Aspen to teach a workshop about, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks after the accident, and the mayor of the town left a couple of tickets at the door, and he left me a message saying, I've left these tickets for you and your daughter if you guys care to come to this workshop. And so we took advantage of that, and we went, and I think it was on it was a Friday and a Saturday, 2 full days, and it was a marvelous experience. Baba Ram Dass is an incredible guy. But at the first lunch break, he came over to me, and he said, I've heard about your losses, and he said, I wonder if you would have time to visit with me on Sunday after this workshop is over. And I said, well, I'd be honored. And he said, well, just pick me up here in the hotel, and we'll go back to your house. And so I did. I picked him up on Sunday morning. We went, and he said, just let's go to your house. And we walked in, and he said, what was your favorite? Where did you gather with your family? And I said, well, this couch over here. And he said, good. And he said, now go get the pictures. Go get all the pictures of your favorite pictures of your boys and your wife and your family. And so we surrounded ourselves with those. And for the next several hours, he taught me what he believed in. And what he was trying to teach me and what he worked at, he approached it in many different ways in the next several hours, was that he wanted me to understand and believe and commit myself to believing that Kathy and Tanner and Shay were not really gone. But they continued to be present in my life. They would always be present in my life. And that I only had to open my awareness that they would be there with me. And he talked about how his guru from India was a man named Maharaji, who had passed on several years before, and Ram Dass would talk to me about how he stayed in touch every day, all day, with Maharaji, as an immediate part of his life, as if he were still there. Anyway, that was for me, it perhaps changed the direction of my grieving process as much as any experience I had.